Let me now introduce the second speakers for this morning. The first one is Professor Montaña Cámara Hurtado, who is a professor of food science and nutrition at the University Complutense de Madrid. She's most involved in novel foods and technology and related social aspects. And she will present together with Virginia Fernandez, also professor of food science and nutrition at the University Complutense de Madrid, mostly involved in chemical analysis and sensory evaluation of foods, in particular involving consumers. So I don't see the video, but probably they're already connected. Yes, I can see you now. Thank you. So, Montaña and Virginia, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Davide, for your presentation. And thanks so much to the organizers, Chiara, Cristina, and Daniele, for inviting us to participate in this exciting summer course on innovative food products. My name is Montaña Cámara, and together with my colleague, Virginia Fernandez, we are going to share with you our experiences on attitudes towards science and food innovation, and more specifically on neophobia and neophilia case studies. This topic falls, This topic falls within the interest of our research group called Alimnova. We are focused on the basic and applied knowledge of products with a special incidence to the human health promotion, but also in addition to that, we are also interested in the social aspects of food innovation. In the first part of this presentation, I'm going to talk about the attitudes towards science and food innovation. Perfect. So thinking about the factors that can influence these attitudes, we can find different terms, and some of them with quite incomplete translation on different languages, such as scientific literacy, public understanding of science, public perception of science, or others. No? We are going to talk about some of them. If we focus on scientific culture, this depends on the vision and the approach, and it can also vary depending on the country, the culture, or if we talk about groups or individuals. Furthermore, the term itself falls more into the philosophy or social areas, social studies areas, more than science per se. If we think about scientific literacy, we understand that as a functional literacy, which allows the person to use the scientific concepts, procedures, and values in the decision-making process. This is a multidimensional model that depends on the cognitive elements, as Georgia has recently shown us, the acceptation and the knowledge and the education, the attitudinal elements, the behavior elements, and also it has an implication with the political dimensions also of scientific culture. We consider that if we focus on food, scientific food culture, it should be an aspect in which citizens' knowledge on food issues should be understood as part of the scientific literacy and the social understanding of science. So we intend and we work with different social scientists to include all these aspects about worries, awareness, or acceptation of food in the social research and the consumer social research. We think about the consumer's attitude related to food products. We have to take into account that feeding is the conscious act that we perform most frequently. Is the item, the consumer item that we buy more frequently, is a daily decision making at different times of the day, and it's either directly or indirectly related to our health status. And that is something we have to take into account. If we move to the how to measure this perception, just Georgia and Johanna has shown us where are the tools at European level, like with the Eurobarometers and some results. And this is because citizen interest in science, technology, food, and health is a reality, and institutions and governments are not strange to that. So they try to address and try to control and to measure. Here I also include some studies and Spanish level, is deficit, the national agency, and the foundation of the BBVA with an international at European level study. All of them are focused on decisions related to food. European is more focused on the risk, and the other more on the habits, eating habits and food choices. I want to share some examples, and if we focus with the Spanish survey in the last edition of 2022, usually food, health, medicine are the topics they are in the first level of the importance. But now, in this last survey in 2022, has been switched. It has been a change in the interest of the Spanish population to more hedonic issues as traveling, art, sports, and all those things. In general, Spanish population, as you can see in the right part of the graph, is quite positive in accepting food science and technology aspect. Is more than 50%, more than 60%. So they think that the benefits of the technology are higher than the risk, just in talking in general, no? If we compare the results from Spain with other countries, we find that German people or Finland are more positive, even they show more interest in science and technology, and they are also better informed. And if we think which could be the drivers, which are the technologies that will be more in favor, it looks like the solar energy and biotechnology are the aspect that people are more interested in, as just Georgia has shared with us the results with the new editing technologies that sometimes can be part of the biotechnology or not, depending of the legal concepts, no? If we think with the Eurobarometers, the European survey, I only just choose this slide that focus Spain again as very positive country, accepting all the innovation or with a very positive attitude towards science and technology. We can see that almost 70% of Europeans are personally interested in the terms of food safety, but we have to be aware that still almost 30% of population are not interested, and that is something serious we have to consider and work on to reduce this number. If we think we move from perception to action, we like to talk about appropriation of scientific food culture. We think that the ideal scenario is the one in which consumers present a base of scientific culture that allows them, or to allow us, to apply all the information we have related to food safety in our daily lives and help us to make informed decisions in relation to food and what we buy and what we consume. We work a lot on this decision-making process based on knowledge, and it's something we want to promote. But we have to recognize that there is a gap, a big distance between the intention to the action, which has been called the frustrating paradox. One example are green technologies and sustainable products. These I want just to mention this study that was published in Harvard University, and the authors make different recommendations to companies to reduce this gap, because all the green technologies and sustainable products in general have all of them very positive attitude in consumers, but at the end, people is not willing to pay the cost of these new products, more sustainable products. So the recommendations to companies are to use the social influence to fall in good habits, to take advantage of the domino effect. If somebody start making small changes, then the big changes will come. Speak with the heart instead with the brain. Scientists, we used to speak with the brain a lot, but we have to change and also speak with the heart, and favor experience in front of the property. It's more nice. We don't need to have more things. We can have better experiences. I'm sure that these topics will be covered in the Food Innovative Summit that will be held in Madrid next June of 2024. I've been involved in this kind of studies, and my interest has been focused with the collaboration with the CTS, Science, Technology and Society Research Group of Oviedo University in Spain, which research leader is José Antonio López Cerezo. And I can show you here some and share with you some of our works in case you are interested in our activities. The future studies about food innovation decision making, I think, will be focused on a better understanding of a new area called neurogastronomy, and also to go deeper in the food neophobia studies. I'm sure that my colleague, Virginia Fernandez, will explain better the individual differences on accepting or not food innovation and the best way to measure it. Virginia, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And first of all, I would like to thank the organization for inviting me to speak about Neophobia, Neophilia case studies. And Montaña has shown the importance of the attitudes towards science and food innovation, and the influence, the different factors that influence in decision making. Neophobia is one of these factors and influencing this decision making, and that's why it's important to know and to research about it. But the first question is, what is food neophobia? And before, I want to remark what is a new product, because we have to know that this will be that obtained after an important modification during the process or after that, or also a product that is unknown for the individuals. So to answer this question, we have the definition by Plenary Hoven in 1992, the reluctance or avoidance to eat new or unfamiliar food is called with the term food neophobia. It's a distrust of eating and or rejection of new foods or unknown. Food neophobia is related to unfamiliar or new foods with important modification or unknown, as we already told, and it's different to picking eating. These are more related to familiar foods. Food neophobia is a remarkable barrier for aiming a balanced diet, since neophobic people tend to eat the same types of food repeatedly. And this is a serious problem of public health and education. Food neophobia has a negative impact in the dietary intake of both children and adults. And food neophobia tends to decrease with age. We can see in this slide, this graph, and the food neophobia is increasing during the childhood between ages 2 to 6 and decrease during adolescence and adulthood and tend to increase again during the old age. The increase of risk of illness, the decrease of sense, taste, and smell, the distrust to new or unknown foods. Food neophobia increase in old age, possible due to health concerns, and of course, more research is required in this line. And another important idea when we work about this in our research group is what is the behavior in adolescence and adulthood. During adolescence, in general, there is an increase of the acceptance of innovation, but we will see a little bit more about it later on. What is the scale that we are going to use to measure food neophobia? The scale is called food neophobia scale, and we use a 7-point Likert scale from 1 to 7, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And this is a psychometric tool which provides high precision and give us a standardized measure of consumer reluctance to try new foods. We have here also the Pliner and Hoven, the first food neophobia scale, and the first validated one. And as we can see, it's formed by 10 items, 10 different items, and you have to give a score from 1 to 7 for all the items from 1 to 10. In some researchers have shown that with 8 items we can get the same results. So we use this reduced scale, because the simpler the better. And another idea that I want to share with us in this moment is that you can see also that some items has an R between brackets, and these items, the 1, the 4, the 5, and in this case the 9 and the 10, if you see a little bit more and you center your ideas in these items, you can see that the first one, for example, I'm constantly sampling new and different foods, is not measuring food neophobia, instead it's measuring food neophilia. That's the reason why, even though the participants are going to score all the items from 1 to 7, for the researchers, we have to take into account that these items, we will have to reverse the results in order to get the measurement of food neophobia. In this slide, we can see the translation of the food neophobia scale from English to Spanish. I have the opportunity to participate in this, in the validation of the Spanish food neophobia scale, and this is something that is necessary because sometimes there are problems in the interpretation of the items. So it's very useful when you have the validated translation of the tools that you are using to measure. And sometimes I have emails from hospitals or from different research centers asking me for the Spanish validation version to use in Spanish-speaking people. And with this data that we obtain using this scale, we can do some statistics and we can calculate and assess the consistency by calculating Cromba alpha. We can see if values are higher than 0.75, we can consider a good survey, and we can see that the participants really understand the task and the items. We can also perform a principal component analysis, and we can see how the items are plotted in the graph, and if the items, the positive or the neophilic and neophobic, if we can say like this, are in different parts of the graph. That means that the participants are interpret the survey properly. And also, if we have repeated data for some participants, we can apply a mixed model analysis and ANOVA, and trying to know more about the effect of gender on the food neophobia levels. And if you have more data, you can make some relationships between this data. For example, you can relate the food neophobia level with the degree of liking, or the food neophobia level with the willingness to try. Okay. As an example, I show here a slide, and we can see the results obtained in a research study about the influence of food neophobia levels in the acceptance of new formulation of gazpacho by young consumers. And as you can see in the table in the left, there are the mean scores and the standard deviation of each food neophobia item, and also the total score in the test. And in this specific study, we choose to divide the number of participants in 3 groups, intertiles, in order to get the low neophobic group, the medium neophobic group, and also the high neophobic group. In this graph, we can see the reverse items have lower scores than the positive ones, the positive in green and the reverse items in orange. And if you see the item 3 and the item 7 have the very important scores. And what conclusions can be drawn from this study or from this result? You can see in this graph, even though participants are in certain degree reluctant to try new foods, and we can see this in the item 3 and the item 7, in the following graph, we can see also that they could be willing to make an exception when it comes to try any food, item 4, as well as when they are enjoying their leisure time, like in dinner parties, for example, item 5. And in this table, we can see the levels of food neophobia in Spanish young population. We can expect some results which are supposed to be low levels and in this group, but as we can see in this table, is low, the food neophobia level, but there are some differences between the studies. And in fact, we have right now a current study, but it's still ongoing, and we have some data analysis, but we cannot yet present them. If we compare with our data with other researchers around the world, we can see similar results in American, Italian, and New Zealand subjects. Higher results in Canadian, Australian, Asia, Sweden, Finland, and the Netherlands. The food neophobia levels score were higher, and lower results. Norwegian and Chilean individuals are less neophobic than Spanish citizens in this study. So as final conclusions, we can say that food neophobia has a strong influence in the dietary choices and preferences, and also in the acceptance of food innovation. Food neophobia is associated with serious problem of public health and education, and it is considered a remarkable limitation for aiming a balanced diet. And lastly, and not less important, information about food neophobia can be used in the development of new food products in the food industry. And that's the reason why we are thinking about more research is needed in this line. So thanks Alinnova Group, of course, and Complutense University, Parma Summer School, and all the organizers for the support. And thanks all for listening. And here, for those who want to go deeper, I leave bibliographic quotes on which I have based myself